So one of the biggest questions that is looming, and I was trying to find that little chicken, what is it, Chicken Little, running around trying to see if I could have a picture of him or have Marie, have her running across the screen. But anyway, I couldn't find one. Is there a looming, housing bubble? Are we destined for for mayhem and chaos? Are we going to have a repeat of 2008? That has been a huge, huge, huge question, especially as home prices keep going up and up and up and up. So we're going to go over that. We're going to kind of take it in a few steps. We've got a few notes up there. You're going to see me look up. I've got a few notes up there to keep me on track, because every once in a while, well, I get off the tracks. Sometimes I catch a train going the other way. But anyway, make sure that you subscribe, and especially share this video with your friends. If they're looking at buying or selling, this is a really important video to keep. If you're a seller out there, you really need to bear with me. It's going to be a little bit longer today. Bear with me. You need to watch what's going on. You need to really kind of dial this in. Investors out there, you really need to pay attention today, because today is going to be super important. All right. Not only did we go through a lot of metrics, not only did we pull out some more information as a team. It is always fun to hear collectively what's going on. It's always just really awesome to hear what other people think, where they see things going. Then we back that up with some stats and kind of show you, well, we've been pretty much spot on since, I don't know, pre-2005 when we started doing these, and only started doing these because, well, it's something that I always do and clients are always asking. So it's free. Subscribe, hit that bell, give me a thumbs up, tell me you like it. If you have questions, hey, if you even have a challenging question, throw it at me. If you question the validity of the information, I'll send it to you. Just let me know. All right. So let's start first with our market. Where are we at today? We're in the middle of April. I don't know how we got there. It was just January. Well, let's talk about this a little bit. And again, as a reminder for those that are new to the show, we are going to see these numbers start to shift. These high numbers are going to start to actually come down May. So about next month, June, May, June, July, we're going to see this shift. And there's a high probability the media is going to go, the market's changed, and it's not at all. It's just now we're comparing apples to apples, right? So when we take a look at one of the charts that Marie will pull up, you can see this is where we're at today. Dark green are solds, light green, that is active inventory. And then when we come over here, you can see the light green, which historically is always higher, and many times twice as high as the dark green, which are the sold. So as you look at this in right there, that May, June, we're going to start to see a little bit of a change, which is, well, going to be awesome because we'll compare apples to apples, Ferrari to Ferrari. Okay, Serge liked that one. So there you go, Serge. All right, so month over month. Okay, so month over month, we are looking at 47.1% higher inventory. 47% higher inventory month over month. Okay, well, that's totally normal. We're in our strong, healthy, robust spring market with really no inventory. We're still, we just need more homes to sell. All right. So new on market is up 25.3% month over month. So again, we're talking about April and March. Okay. All right. Pended is up 1.7 and solds are up 5%. Okay, that's awesome. When we come over here, when we take a look at it year over year, and again, remember, these numbers are going to start to change. Year over year, we have half the inventory. So we have half of what we had the year before. 7.9% more on market, almost 8% more, which is awesome. Note that our pended matched pretty much, straight across the board. When we take a look at the number of homes going, pended, meaning The buyer and the seller have agreed to terms, but it just hasn't closed yet. They have an inspection contingency, they have a financing contingency, you know, whatever other contingencies they might have. There's a few out there. I won't inundate you guys with it. Solds are up 16.2% year over year. Now again, these numbers are going to start to come down. They're going to start probably being more in the single digits, which is going to be better. We're not going to see the double digit, because if we continue to see double digits as far as pending and solds, but we are not seeing a massive number of homes coming on market, that is going to hurt, okay? Which is one of the things we're going to talk about later regarding the housing bubble. All right, when we take a look at new construction, because we had some really good conversations with some folks regarding new construction, and they're like, George, dude, there's like no new construction coming on market. Those doggone builders, they need to release that stuff and get it out to us. and I actually started laughing, because this conversation that I was having, I was like, you understand it's not a spigot. It takes time. It takes time to build a home. On average, for production builders, 3 to 4 months. And for customs, 6 to 8 months, things like that. So you just don't turn it on and turn it off. Plus, you have a massive material shortage issue and a massive increase in price. And I'm going to show you that momentarily. But let's take a look at some of our numbers year over year. I'm only going to use King, Pierce, and Snohomish County. These are the counties that we track the most. Inventory is down 65.5%. Not by choice. I guarantee you that if the builders had more inventory that they could shove out there, they would, because they know there is the planets have aligned to get your home sold. And so there it is. When we talk about new on market, it is down almost 19%. Naturally, pended and solds are down. Why? Because there's no inventory. Last year at this time, there was like 1,490 homes, and now there's 500. That's it. Oh, that's King, Pierce, and Snohomish County. That's not a whole lot. And so understand, it just takes a little bit of time for this to start happening. And so yes, they have to be, they got to moderate what they're doing so that they don't flood the market, which is really tough today. But one of the things that came out from one of the clients is that, they're like, yeah, those builders are gouging us, and they're just really taking it to us. And of course, I'm like, okay, we need to put things in perspective here. I said, you understand they work on typically a percentage of profit, and sure, builders with the limited inventory are able to get a little bit more profit, but not as much as people think. And here's an example. Even though tried to get Paul to send me an updated one. Here it is. I wanted to show you this, and let's see if I can get this. I'm going to get it over here. There we go. All right. So in 2020, because as you guys know, I build homes, so I track these things. So in 2020, a 2,700 square foot house, just the lumber package was $11,403. All right. And you're saying, okay, George, what's the difference? Well, understand that between January and today, there was an additional, I think it's 35% increase. Let me get this over here. I'm going to show you that same lumber package is $23,000. That's a 100% increase just in cost for material. And that's just the lumber package. With that, everything else has gone up, and including labor, has gone way up, because there's a massive demand for labor, because they're trying to get more homes out there with limited materials, which keeps going up and up and up. So the builder cost keeps going up and up and up and up. The price of the homes have to go up and up and up and up. And the challenge is that part of this, that the wages year over year have only gone up 3%, but yet homes are going up 15.6% nationally and even locally year over year. So people are starting to get priced out. The challenge is with new construction and why builders, the perception that builders are making gobs and gobs of dollars is not the truth. It's not the fact. Because understand, decking material, as Steve and Jamie just found out, went up basically over the last 2 years, has gone up 150% to build a deck. Well, that's a huge impact if you're looking at a larger deck. So understand, everything is proportional as we come through. All right, so in the last 7 days, 1,719 homes came on market. This is one of the largest, in the last 7 days, homes coming on market inventories that we have seen in a long time. It hasn't been over 1,000 in a while. When we take a look at pendants are still holding at about 1,900-ish, 1,700, 1,900-ish, still holding pretty steady. Solds 1,412, yeah, right on par. Solds were lagging just a little bit. I was kind of curious about that, but we'll take a look more into that later. Understand, we are still seeing more homes going off market than coming on market, albeit we closed that gap, which we needed more homes. And in fact, there was a lot of buyers out there. There was a massive buyer surge, especially with this amazing week of weather. The buyer surge out there is just unbelievable, truly unbelievable. So with that, let's get on to the next part. The next part is we're going to start delving into, is there going to be a housing bubble? Are we going to have this massive, before we get there, I almost forgot, rates today. Dan Golden at Cornerstone gave me a few options today as we were chatting. 3% par pricing today. And here's one thing. So one of our clients came to me and said, "Hey George, there's this bank, and they're saying that their 30-year money is 2.6%, and Dan's is 3%." And I said, "Okay." They're like, "That's a big difference. That's almost a half a point." Yes, but you understand that you have to look, are you buying that rate down? And he's like, "Well, what do you mean?" Well, to get that rate, it's a teaser rate, what is it costing you to get there? And what they found out is that it was a little bit more than 1/4 of a point. So he was buying the rate down to that. And I said, "Why don't you ask Dan, hey Dan, what's my cost to get to 2.6%? And guess what? It was the same amount, because the difference is we're quoting no points here. Yeah, there are people out there, it's called marketing, to attract you to call them. And they let you know later that, oh, by the way, to get that beautiful rate, you had to pay for it. So make sure when you are out looking at loans, you are looking apples to apples, okay? Morning rate and morning rate, not afternoon. Don't compare Monday to Friday or Monday to Thursday. Same date, same time, get that quote, because it changes throughout the day, throughout the week, just like the stock market. All right, moving on. Non-owner occupied, still about 3.75, and rates have been hedging back downwards in the last 7 days, which is really good. They do bobble every day. They were on an upward trend for 45 days. Now they're starting to pull back down. All right, let's talk about the looming housing bubble. What's going to happen? Where are we going? What is the government doing? What should we expect? So we'll use the magic board here. We're going to talk about the housing bubble. What are the metrics that we look at? What is it really going to do? What are some talking points? Now I'm going to give you some highlights. Not going to go deep into it. I know for a fact you don't want to sit here for an hour and a half. Listen to me go on about all of the things that we look at, how we evaluate it, where we see it trending, how is that balancing against the economy, how is that balancing against what the feds are going to do, and all of the other things. You don't want to hear that. So I'm going to give you the Reader's Digest version, and hopefully this will go relatively quick for you. All right. Things to keep in mind: mortgage rates, growing economy, housing supply. Those are going to be the 3 key things, along with a big one. Oh, let me put positive equity, okay? Those are the things that we want to keep in mind. All right, so right now, we have some folks, some doomer and gloomers out there that are saying, you know, hey, we got this forbearance. You know, depending on when you came into it, we're talking about July, we're talking about October. You know, we've got 2.6 million people that are under a forbearance program nationwide. And in 2008, we only had 3 million people that were in foreclosure. And what are we going to do with that if they flood the market and all of a sudden we have all these people that have got issues and oh my gosh, it's going to be a catastrophic and Chicken Little and the earth is going to fall. Now, let's keep things in perspective. First, let's talk about the difference between 2008 and 2020. 2008, they were making crazy loans. Zero down, you know, you could finance your down payment, 125% loans, 120% loans, zero equity, negative equity. That's why I put positive equity there. Those things created, they were just itching for a problem. And of course, when you get a bunch of, you know, not so qualified folks out there that are on an adjustable rate, and then as interest rates were going up, it had that massive negative impact because people couldn't do anything. And why? Because people with a negative equity or no equity had no problem walking away from a house. So out of the 3 million in 2008, there were 860, I wrote it down for myself, 865,000, I believe it was, foreclosures. And nobody wants that to repeat again. And that's one of the big differences that the government learned and that they are taking into consideration this time. All right, so with that, we also have tighter loan programs, more requirement for down payment, better credit scores. People have equity. People are not willing to walk away from money. That is just not going to happen. They're going to look at that nest egg of money and say, look, I will sell today. The market is still heading an upward trend. 2008, you couldn't chase that guy fast enough down with the Toilet Bowl Man. And for those of you that remember the Toilet Bowl Man, anyway, and so our market is heading upwards, and the economy is still heading upwards, and interest rates are low. Remember, mortgage rates, growing economy, housing supply. In 2008, we had a massive housing supply, anywhere between 11 and 13 months of inventory, with a 4 to 6 month being a healthy market. We're at 2 weeks today. Again, remember, mortgage rates, growing economy, housing supply, our inventory. Keep these in mind. These will be important metrics as we continue this conversation. All right, so then when 2020 comes around, we get the CARES Act, which means that we have this forbearance, which means people do not have to, they just have to say, hey, I think this is creating an issue, and you got to stop making payments on your house. And then the interest would just accrue on the backside, things like that. And there was no negative reporting. And some folks were taking opportunity with this. Some people were taking the opportunity and reinvesting in the market, putting in their savings account. They were investing in other real estate, and some of them going out on a spending spree. Shouldn't have done that. But either way, you have that opportunity. So then it happened in 6 month window. So now we have 3 of them, which is a total of 18 months of total forbearance windows. That's where the July or October, depending on when you came into the system, if you're going to have to deal with this sooner, meaning your forbearance. So when we had that, we got the amendment, and this will be posted for you, which is the HR 162. That is an amendment that they started to add more freedoms, as we will call it, to the CARES Act. Then just on April 5th, and this will also be posted for you, this was in April 5th. This is the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau that allows people, okay, and they oversee, they kind of watch basically what rates and lending and making proposals. And they have a very interesting proposal here. Very interesting proposal, because if this goes into play, which there is a high probability, okay, what they're going to look at then are 4 real key options or 4 key benefits that is going to come out of this. First, you're going to look at more time to deal with your forbearance, okay? They've also put in there that no foreclosures until till basically 2022. So all the way up until December of 2021, you cannot foreclose somebody. This is a proposal. More than likely, this is going to come into play, but still a proposal. Okay. With that, they're also talking about a 40-year mortgage. Now, I know that they exist, but they're making it a little bit different. They're opening it up a little bit more because there won't be any fees. They are going to prohibit the banks. And here's a key thing to understand. This originally, the CARES Act originally was for government-backed loans, right? Your Fannie, your Freddie, your USDA. Some people say, what about FHA? Well, that's well, not Fannie and Freddie necessarily, but FHA, USDA, and VA are your government-backed loans. But Freddie and Fannie followed the same guidelines, okay? Now they are making it so that it affects everybody globally, regardless, allows the 40-year mortgage to come in. They cannot increase your rate, and they cannot charge you any fees, or in other words, they have to keep the interest rate at the same time, so they can't change to a higher rate. What that means is for folks that had created a hardship, and all you have to say is the pandemic created a hardship for me, which means then, hey, I can push out my mortgage, so I can save $200 to $1,000 a month, put everything on the backside, 40-year mortgage, I can keep my house, I can keep my equity, because it's not like 2008 where values were dropping. We're still seeing values heading up many times, and again, about 1% per month, 1.2% per month. They're seeing that equity continue to grow. So yeah, they may get a 40-year mortgage. Sure, they're going to have a little bit longer mortgage. They're going to reduce that payment, but it will allow them to stay in the home, which means that there's not going to be a foreclosure, which means that there's not going to be this massive influx of inventory coming on the market. Housing supply, big deal, okay? Then we come down to this right here where they're talking about for first-time home buyers getting a government credit for up to $15,000 to be applied towards a down payment, which allows somebody to come in and actually, as a first-time home buyer, to purchase a home. Now, based on that, we're talking about now a new set of buyers coming into the market with an inventory level that is not increasing, that is actually still decreasing, adding a forbearance program which allows people to retain their home, stay in their home at a lesser payment. Yes, it's a longer term, but at a lesser payment. So no more inventory coming on market. That is going to continue a drawdown of inventory. So the 2.6 million folks that are out there in the forbearance program, some of which absolutely can probably make their payments without any issues. Others are greatly affected and will be able to benefit, but will not have to, discount their home in today's market because, again, the market is still going up, still massive pent-up demand. So the question is, are we going to run into a massive housing bubble? Not, I broke out my crystal ball polish, not for the foreseeable 12 to 18 months. I still see that still as a very healthy, a very dynamic market, subject to, again, three very important things. It's kind of like that milking stool, right? It's got three legs on it, and if we remove any one of these legs, we could be in trouble. Is that my disclaimer? There's my disclaimer. The three-legged stool disclaimer. All right, I like that. Okay, mortgage rates, growing economy, housing supply. If we see a massive increase in interest rates, that has an immediate impact on buyers in the real estate market, okay? If the economy starts to wane, starts really heading in a backward direction, we are still growing. If we head in a flat or downward direction, yeah, that's going to impact the housing market. Because right now it's kind of crazy volatile, has been over the last year. If we see a massive influx of homes coming on market, to a degree, with the pent-up buyer demand, we'll be able to absorb that very easily. However, if we see a sustained, continuous, massive flood of homes coming on the market, sure, that is going to have a natural impact, supply and demand, right? Okay, with that, the key thing for you guys to keep in mind, something that I monitor very, very closely, because it tells us the health and the mindset of a lot of sellers. What What are they going to do? And it is polar different today than it was in 2008. And again, when we come back to positive equity, people are not willing to walk away from, tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're not willing to walk away from that. Unlike 2008, where if you were underwater, by, even $5,000 plus closing costs, if you were, $50,000, $60,000 underwater, why you're not going to fight to keep that home. Whereas today we have equity. Even if we see a 3% decline in the market, people still have a lot of equity in their homes, as we have been over the last year and this year. We're hitting up at 1.2, 1.4% each and every month. As we start, adding that on, even if we take a 3, even if we take a 5% hit, that is nothing like the appreciation that we have already amassed, or equity. So watch equity. People's equity tells you how hard they fight to keep that home, which is a direct indicator as to how they're going to negotiate with a bank, how they're going to negotiate with other buyers, what they're going to do to preserve that nest egg. In today, 2020, 2021, that is completely different than it was in 2008. I guarantee it, especially by 2009, 2010, some of the outlying states, where they were, 40, 50% hits in value, sometimes as high as 60%, if not more. We did not see that big of a hit. And even in this area, we do not expect that at all. We might see after 18 months or so, if we see a market correction, it might be 3%. It's going to depend on really wages and the economy, both locally and nationally and internationally. However, I think we are absolutely safe for the next 12 to 18 months, and we'll only have a short-term hiccup after that. Now, all that being considered, do I think there's a housing bubble? I am sure somewhere out in the future, at some point in time, yes, there's going to be, but it is not going to be the 2008 debacle that we had before. I just don't see that, at least not anytime soon. If you have any questions, let me know. I know it was a little bit longer. Hopefully you guys got some really good information out of this. Marie will be posting these links. If you are in a forbearance program, you're considering a forbearance program, you're considering other options, we will be posting the links so that you can go to these two websites so you can get some additional information. Our goal is to get you as much information as possible. If you have questions, post them. Share this information. In the meantime, it is an absolutely freaking stellar day out there. Please get out, have some fun, be safe. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care.